where I think Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd was a defensive guy himself. They just feel like he doesn't fit with the future. He doesn't fit with, them winning a championship. I was shocked how quick they pulled the trigger, especially after they went to the finals last year. But I think Dallas just basically looked at like, hey, we got Kyrie Irving. We're 11-8 with them this season, and they have a built enough good team where they can go without Luka Doncic and bring Anthony Davis, who's a great two-way player, arguably the best in the league. And I think they built the roster construction, but I think that's what happened in Dallas.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. But first, I got to take a step back. We just went live. I did a quick introduction, but I didn't hit go live. That's on me. I'm Jose Salviati, editor at thePeachBasket.net. I'm joined by BJ Matthews, creator covering the Los Angeles Clippers. He's a credentialed media member. And Parasant, who covers the Toronto Raptors. Of course, we are discussing the trade that shook the NBA. So we're starting with just a couple of questions. We're going to try and keep this, short and sweet. Now that we know a little bit more about what happened, BJ just shared his thoughts on what made the Mavericks move on from Luka. To me, it's baffling. I had not heard that he got kind of that heavy, which is wild to me. When you think of professional basketball players, I mean, it boggles my mind. These are guys who are paid millions of dollars, right, to play a game. And we've heard famously that LeBron James, Luka's teammate, spends millions keeping his body, in pristine shape. It just baffles me that somebody like Luka maybe is not doing that. I don't know, man. And for them to have gotten to this point to where they said, listen, we're going to call up any team. They called up the Lakers. We're going to move on from this generational talent. Just boggles the mind. So, it has to be something that crazy for sure. Pierce, have you heard anything different? What do you think may have caused the Mavericks to move on from this great player?
I didn't hear anything at the moment. I heard some of the stuff that BJ was saying about the conditioning stuff. About the conditioning stuff, I don't know how, I don't know if that's the reason, because we've been hearing about the Luka conditioning stuff, how he's not
right. They won
for years. Yeah, they won. So why now that's the issue? I don't get that.
Yeah.
My real answer is I don't know why the Mavericks made it. Besides a personal reason, I have no idea why they made this trade. You don't
one
give
of those
up.
Things.
Go
you
ahead,
don't give
up Luka. No, I was just saying you don't give up Luka,
right,
unless there's something behind the scenes that we don't know.
Right. It's like breaking up with Marilyn Monroe, right? or pick the actor or actress that you like. It just doesn't make any sense. This is one of the best NBA players of his generation, and the Mavs. Now, listen, they didn't give him away, right? I mean, a lot of people are shocked, right, that it only cost the Lakers one first-round pick when they had two, but it did cost them Anthony Davis, who is, arguably still at his peak. I would say he's got a year, maybe two left, playing great basketball, and he's played a majority of the games this season for the Lakers. Has been great defensively. The thing about Anthony Davis, and I don't want to lose sight of this. This wasn't something I had down on my notes to talk about, but let me ask you guys this, because the focus is on Luka, right? And oftentimes when you make trades between players, you focus on the best player. And Luka being younger, I think is probably the best of the two. You could argue either way though. But Anthony Davis is no slouch. 31 years old, phenomenal defensive player, having a great season this year. And I think he's going to make the Mavericks better. They did not just give away Luka. The Lakers could have thrown in that second pick, and it's good for them that they kept it for sure. But I don't want to lose sight of this, right? Anthony Davis is not a slouch. He's a very good basketball player.
Yes.
So let's take the second question then. Now that we kind of have an idea as to what happened, Parasant, to your point, we may never know. But BJ brought up, the weight, the conditioning, which has always been there in Luka's side. But my argument is, again, there's something what you said. He's always had conditioning problems, always dominated. So why now? So you wonder if something happened or if the straw broke the camel's back somewhere along the line. But let me ask you guys both this question. And Parasound, we'll start with you this time.
All right.
Which team between the Lakers and the Mavericks, and with apology, we're leaving Utah out of this because
Yeah,
they were involved for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
They were needed to make it work, but the
What they got?
principles are the Mavs.
They got Jalen Hood-Schifino, right?
They
Uh,
did. They did.
uh,
Who just never really looked like a pro. The few times I seen him, that doesn't mean he won't be. He might be really good
he
down
might
the line.
flourish
But
in Utah. You never know. He might flourish
yeah,
in
you
Utah.
never know. You never know. I host a show myself, and Steve, a co-host. We always talk about sometimes all the player needs is to be in the right situation to really
Yeah.
blossom, and that might be the case uh, for uh, for that player, but who knows? But obviously, the conversation is Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic. So let me ask you both this question, Parasons. We're going to start with you.
All
Which
right.
team between the Lakers and the Mavs won this trade in the short term? And I'm just saying this season only. So and put another way, does Anthony Davis make the Mavericks better than the Lakers with Luka Doncic, or is Luka Doncic and the Lakers better than Anthony Davis and the Mavs? Who do you think is better now?
I think the Mavericks are better right now. I st- Even if they never made the trade, I still think Mavericks is the better team. Based on those recent years. But since they made the trade, and since of your reasons of AD, how he's gonna make the team better, I agree with the same things. Like he's gonna be a defensive boost for that team.
Yeah,
Um, it's probably gonna give Kyrie more time being the point guard. Like he's gonna have more responsibility. He's gonna be the floor general now.
right.
Probably gonna also probably gonna clear the space for like guys like Klay Thompson, Quentin Grimes, Spencer Dinwiddie, all those guys.
Yeah,
So yeah, so it does. It's gonna make Kyrie's jobs. He's gonna have more responsibility on his job, but I feel like it might be better for him. AD, he's gonna bring the defensive. He can finally play the four. I know he's complaining about him
right,
wanting to play the five. Now he could play the four because you got Derek
right.
Lively and Daniel Galford.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I still think they need to do one or two more trades, maybe one trade, uh, to get them ready for a postseason run. But even if they don't, I think they'll be like a top contending team in the
yeah.
West.
So I think it's poetic right now, right? That the Dallas Mavericks, as we record this show, as we're on live right now, we're down by 60 last I checked. So
Yeah.
clearly they need a little defensive presence. And I know this is a one-off game, but I think it is interesting. And you called out Kyrie. Look at and this is a great segue to you, BJ. BJ covers the Los Angeles Clippers. Look at what Norman Powell has become this season after kind of the reins were loosed on him, right? He got more shots, he got more time, and he's playing phenomenal basketball.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're going to see for Kyrie. Kyrie has been an alpha, right? He's been the best player on teams before, and he's pretty much excelled. You could argue, whether he's won or not, without LeBron, but he's been very good in that role. And I think we
Yeah.
are going to see kind of Kyrie unleashed, which is going to be really good for him and for the Dallas Mavericks. BJ, same question to you. What do you think? Who won the trade in the short term, the Mavs or the Lakers? Who's the better team right now?
Uh, Definitely agree with you, Jose, and Pearson, that is definitely the Mavericks. Just off the fact that you've gotten, it's all about what your roster construction is. And when I see the vision of the Mavericks, and I hear Nico Harrison, the GM, I hear Jason Kidd, their vision is simply defense wins championships. That is
Yeah,
the main vision with
Yeah.
the Mavericks. They built their team defensively. They're 10th in offense this year. They're 10th in 3-point percentage this year. So offensively, they got, the pieces. Now it's time for us to continuously build off the defensive end. So now you've added a guy offensively and defensively who is elite, where it checks out both of those, check marks, because two-way players are the most valuable pieces in the NBA.
Yeah.
Great as Luka Doncic is offensively, you have to cover for him defensively. That's what we saw in the finals that they
Yeah.
exploited.
Yeah.
You had Drew Holiday, you had Derek White, you had Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and you can even say Kristaps Porzingis. Their entire starting five
Yeah.
was two-way, good to elite two-way players. So that means what? No one can be played off the court. Nobody can be exploited. Well, you look at Dallas, where Luka is a great one-way offensive player. Defensively, he doesn't match up where you have to, cover for him. And because of that, I think Dallas saw that and they said, okay, look, we have to build a team that's going to be balanced. Let's build a balanced offense, a balanced defense. You said Jose, Kyrie Irving's still there offensively. He can score the ball between 25 and 30 points, similar to what Luka can do. But also, you're getting the defensive side of the ball. And also, something I want to say, too, they move the ball better when Luka is not playing, because
Interesting.
he dominates the ball where
Hmm.
other guys are kind of just standing around. The Kyrie running the offense, running the show, everybody's getting touches. Everybody, the ball is moving. Klay Thompson gets cleaner looks. You got PJ Washington getting looks. You got Quentin Grimes getting. You got all these guys touching the ball. They're getting their confidence up. But when you got a person dominating the ball for the entirety of the game or mostly of the game, players, have a hard time getting in rhythm. So all these aspects, I think Dallas, they're putting defense first, and they have the offensive pieces, they have the leadership, they have the coaching. I think they definitely won the trade easy over the Lakers.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with both of you. And I think I shared my thoughts. I know with you, BJ, earlier. I think the Mavs, this makes the Mavs better than the Lakers in the short term. Now, the Lakers might not be done. Again, they did not trade both first round picks that they had. There's still some rumblings, right, that they want to get a big. They need a big,
They do
especially
need a
now
big.
without AD. So
Right.
they could, this conversation could change, right, if they bring somebody in. So we'll see. But I think right now, yeah, the Mavs sound pretty scary, right? I think that
Yeah.
they are the better team right now. Now, again, this is something we're going off script here, but it's just the two of us, or the three of us rather. So we have a little bit of time. Let me ask you guys this, and I want to preface my question here. Luca needs the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
And he's proven that he's going to be great with the ball in his hands. LeBron James needs the ball in his hands. Okay.
Mhm.
Of course.
Now, think back to when Lucas started with the Dallas Mavericks. He was paired with Dirk Nowitzki,
Right.
both
Hmm.
great players. But it was clear, Dirk was kind of on his way out, and this was kind of a passing of the torch. I thought it was really cool, really symbolic that they got to play 1 year together. And you kind of get the sense that this is the same thing with LeBron, and Luca. But here's my point, and this gets back to who's going to be better now. I think that Luca and LeBron are a lot like, and I want to explain this after I say it because I want people to get mad at me. But think back, I think it's a lot like LeBron and Russell Westbrook. Okay,
Mhm.
and that didn't work
Hmm.
too well. Okay, now the difference between Russ and Luca is Luca can hit the three, Russ really couldn't. So he can play off ball a little bit better. At least he can make the shot that Russ couldn't. But ball dominant guards. Now you got two of them. And I'm calling LeBron a guard is kind of silly, but he plays point guard really for the Lakers.
Yeah.
So when I look at it, I don't know how that's going to work now, which is why I've written and wrote, or I've written and said in other shows, this feels like the Lakers punting the season. It's not about now; it's about the future for the Lakers. I just don't see how this is going to work. Let me ask you guys that again. This is kind of off script, but that's the whole point of the show. So, BJ, let me ask you: do you get my point? Do you think that two ball dominant guys like Luca and LeBron can coexist?
No, not absolutely not. And you said it. The Lakers, I don't think it's about Luka playing with LeBron. I think it's LeBron's replacement. I
Yeah.
think Luka
Right.
is LeBron's replacement. LeBron being 40 years
100%.
old, this isn't going to be a team that he wins a championship with. And if you look at the wins they've had this season, outside of last night, they beat the Knicks. They haven't really been beating on competitive teams. And you talk about their best defensive player and arguably their best all-around player, you trade him and you bring in a guy who plays just like your second best player. And shooting wise, Luka Doncic is a rhythm player. A lot of his shots come off of him dribbling the ball, hitting 3-point shots. Um, Not so much catch and shoot. So you basically what you're gonna ask him to sacrifice his game for a 40-year-old, it just doesn't make sense. So the only
Right.
thing I can think of is the Lakers are saying, okay, we're gonna go over for the future, but also this is another thing people got to realize. This could be a way for LeBron to get out of LA.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because now you've made it clear that we're focused on the future. So LeBron really has no point of staying LA outside of just him retiring in the sunset.
Dang.
The
I
LeBron
don't.
to Warriors
There's
trade rumors is already
Don't
happening.
don't
So
start, Pearson.
there
I
there
don't even want
there
to talk about
there is
that.
really no point. But I also think that Rob Pelinka said to himself, man, like, and I don't mean to go off too script, but it's like LeBron has really been hands on with his son playing for the Lakers. They've made a
Right.
lot of moves bending backwards for him. And I think they said to themselves, hey, we're taking our franchise back. We've been trying to do things
Wow.
your way over the last few years, and it just hasn't been working. We've done a lot for you. Now it's time for us to get back to running a real organization. So we're going to go ahead and
Wow.
let go of AD. We're going to go ahead and, look for a way to get you out of here. And we're going to go build a team around Luka Doncic in our future.
That's crazy. And Pearson, I want your thoughts on this, but I got to react because BJ, that was kind of a fascinating overview. When this happened, there was a lot of speculating on Twitter because nobody knew what was happening, what was going on. So a lot of people were saying, yeah, LeBron had to sign off on this. He's the GM, right? He's the de facto GM. Then we come to
yeah,
find out, no, LeBron had no clue. And
LeBron
to
found
me,
out
that
during
changed.
dinner, right?
Right, 100%. Yeah, he found out just like we did. And to me, that changed everything, right? Because BJ, you nailed it. If the Lakers did this without LeBron, without consulting LeBron, this is a line in the sand moment for the franchise. And they're saying exactly that, BJ. They're saying, you know, LeBron, you had your run and, you made some mistakes and we're taking control back. And that means, getting rid of AD and building around Luca. And that's important because how's LeBron going to react to this now? He clearly that if this is all true, and I kind of think it is, he doesn't have the power in the franchise that he used to.
Right.
And so what's he going to do? He's got a player option next season. Is he going to walk? To Pearson's point, is he going to demand a trade? Right? Is he going to end up playing for the Warriors, which would be pretty epic? I'd love to see it. It's wild, and I think that's the next evolution of this, right? This is the first domino, and now we're going to see if other little dominoes fall. But Pearson, I want to ask you the same question, or actually, I think we started with you. So let me go on to the next big question,
Right?
and BJ, we'll start with you on this one. And I think we kind of talked about it. I've said that I think the Lakers maybe are punting this season and are looking to the future. BJ, you called out the same thing. So does that mean, in your opinion, BJ, that the Lakers won this in the long term? And again, we're all speculating because who knows? But do you think in 5 years the Lakers will be better or the Mavs will be better? What do you think?
Uh, you know something? I'm gonna be a devil's advocate. The Lakers. Here's the thing. This is where it gets interesting. Now, while I do say Luka is LeBron's replacement, LeBron and Luka have a relationship. They both play the same type of style. The
Right,
Yeah.
biggest thing that Luka has a problem with is staying in shape. But LeBron's biggest thing is that he is one of the best physical specimens we've ever seen.
right.
So before LeBron leaves or retires or gets traded or whatever, he might have to teach Luka Doncic how to properly take care of his body. So
Wow.
that could be something that they use him for on his way out. Now, that's going to depend on if the Lakers won this trade or not. It's going to be on Luka because if he goes from Dallas to LA and he has really no reason to change who he is and change his, diet and stuff like that, I don't see how, that's a problem now that the Lakers have. It's going to be the same issue. So if you factor in that he doesn't change his habits, and depending on the moves they put around Luka, you look at a Dallas team, they can win now, but they also got some time too. I mean, you look at some of their pieces. I mean, they got guys coming off the bench. They got Derek Lively, who's a young up and coming player. Quentin Grimes, who's a good scoring option. They got Jaden Hardy. They still got Kyrie and AD in their prime. So it's like they're gonna. I think in the next three to 4 seasons, they still can be in the contention. So it depends on when you say future. If you're talking about 5 to 10 years from now, I mean, yeah, I would say the Lakers, but it's not a definite because you got a guy in Luka Doncic who has flaws defensively, taking care of his body, and you got to look at the roster construction they build around him. So it's a lot of different factors. What players want to come play with Luka? Like we've looked at the
Right.
past, like how many players have really rushed to come play with Luka. I mean, Kyrie Irving was moved down there, but have a lot of these players been like knocking on the door to go play with him?
Right. Yeah. No. Good point. And I think it's interesting that the GM for the Mavs, kind of answered this question from a Mavs perspective, and he said, "Listen, man, we're interested in the 3-4 years ahead. We're not looking that far ahead." So I think it's clear that for the Mavs, this isn't a future thing. This is about a now thing. What do you think, Pirasanta? And then I'll share my thoughts. Who wins this long term? I know we don't know. We're just guessing, but what do you think?
I think long term is the Lakers because they have the superstar for the next
Yeah.
7 years. That's gonna replace LeBron once he retires in a couple of years. Don't know how the team will be in the next 5 years,
Right.
but I'm pretty sure they'll contend. Because what's the point of getting Luka if you're not gonna try to contend?
Right.
But I think Lakers won in the long term because they got Luka. Dallas, I mean, the next 5 years, AD might be in his late 30s. Same thing with Kyrie. So we don't know. We don't know if they're gonna be in the Mavericks in the next 5 years. But I'm pretty confident that Luka will be a Laker in the next 5 years.
Yeah. I think the Lakers are counting on it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go a little old school on you both.
All right.
Okay. The Lakers have always been about stars. Now that
Yeah.
is not over winning. They
Mm.
want to win with stars. They don't want to just win. They want to win with some style. They want to win with some flash. They want to win with
Showtime
great
Lakers.
players, and you need great players to win. But let me give you a little bit of history lesson here. Again, as somebody who's been watching the Lakers for a long time. In the 80s, when Magic came along, the Lakers were playing good. They were winning. They were led by Paul Westhead, but they weren't flashy, right? They weren't winning right.
Yeah.
And Dr. Jerry Buss didn't like that. He didn't want to just win. He wanted to win with some style, with some flash. He wanted something more than just to win, and that's important. And that's kind of in the DNA, not only of the franchise but the fans. They expect to win with a little pizzazz. We want that showtime, and that always starts with a stud, with a star. And so from the Lakers perspective, they got their guy, right? And
Yeah.
they were really, really close to not having somebody. They were going to potentially lose LeBron next year, and then what, right? Austin Reeves, a great player. He's not a star. He's
Yeah.
not the kind of flashy guy you want to hang your hat on. And nobody else on that team, Max Christie wasn't that. Rui Hachimura wasn't that. So they needed somebody, and now they got the guy. They got their face of the franchise for the next 5, maybe 10 seasons. So from that perspective, it's a Lakers win because they got what they wanted. But now, BJ, to your point, Pearson, to your point, what are they going to build around Luka? And Luka's such a fascinating case because think about it, in Dallas, he had Jalen Brunson, who's an all-star. Couldn't win with Jalen Brunson. Kyrie Irving got to the finals, couldn't win with Kyrie. Porzingis. When they got Porzingis, I thought that's the guy. That is the right matchup for Luka.
Didn't really work
Couldn't
out.
win with Porzingis. What does he need to win? Um, and this is the thing that kind of has me a little freaked out about this trade for the Lakers. It's Luka, and he's going to put up phenomenal numbers. But the Mavericks kicked him to the curb for a reason. What
Yeah.
is that reason? And is it going to come back and bite the Lakers a couple years down the road? I just think there's something we don't know there. But again, I agree with both of you. I think 5-10 years down the road, Luka will likely still be a Laker, assuming there's no smoking gun or something going on. And AD will probably be done. So in that perspective, I think the Lakers win long term, but it might take a while, for them to build around Luka, and that'll be interesting to see how they do it. So last question, and yeah, we'll go on from here. And this is just I wasn't sure how to present this, so I'm just going to say it, and then I'm going to open it up. Persant, you get to start this time around.
All right.
Anthony Davis, right? Allegedly, like LeBron, was shocked. He didn't see this coming. He didn't know it was coming. Luka Doncic was kicked out the door. We heard what the GM said, called out his conditioning, called out a lack of defense. This was a pretty unceremonious way to move both of these stars off of your team. And so this is my question. We know that NBA is a business. We know anybody. Wilt Chamberlain was traded. Anybody can be traded. But was this good business for either franchise? Because when I look at it, I think the Lakers kind of did AD dirty. I just don't think that they did right by him. And it certainly looks like they're kicking Luka out the door in Dallas. So again, kind of an open-ended question, subjective. But Parasan, do you think this was handled right by either team? What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I don't think they handled the business side right because like you said, none of the players involved, they did not know that this was happening. We did not know it was happening. Otherwise,
Right.
we wouldn't question Shams whether he got hacked or and stuff like
Right.
that.
He had to say, I was not hacked. Shams
Yeah,
actually
this
had
was
to
real.
tweet that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, um, yeah. Uh, I
All
just
right.
think it's
No,
bad
fair
business.
enough. Yeah. I don't know how you handle something like this, right? But BJ, what are your thoughts on the way the Mavs and the Lakers handled this?
I think both sides didn't handle it professionally, for sure. But I also think that it hasn't been professional behind closed doors. I think the Mavericks have grown frustrated with Luka. I think they probably informed him. They said, "Hey, Luka, we need to get you in shape. You need to do this." I mean, like we've
Mm,
all heard. If we hadn't heard it in the outside, just imagine what it's been in the inside. It's probably been a amount of frustration has been built up where it's like, hey, it's not like you're respecting like your job. You're coming out of shape. I mean, I'm not saying you can't drink a beer here and there, but you know, I think there's a disconnect with him taking care of his body, and I think that guys like Jason Kidd, who are big on that, and Nico Harrison, I think they were all on the greens on board. Like, you know, we feel like we've maxed out on him. So I think that's one thing. The Lakers side, there was that interview. I don't know if you remember, AD had with Shams Charania
Yeah, the center wanting
about
the
a week
center,
ago.
wanting another
Yeah,
center, right?
yeah, about a week ago, they had an interview with AD and Shams, and it's funny that Shams is one that broke the story. And AD said that we are missing out on the five. He went really
right.
detailed and said, "Hey, we're missing. This is what I need on the team." And for him to say that publicly, he must have said that privately a bunch of times or a few times to ownership and GM. They never really gave him that five. So I think that might have possibly rubbed ownership the wrong ways. Like, hey, so you know, we are again complaining about the roster now, but it was a legitimate point. Like, AD has been
Right.
better at the four
Right.
position, so why not help your star player feel more comfortable and make him play in position? But no, I think both things were kind of like they were tired of AD continuously get hurt, which I think part of that had to do with him having to cover so much on the defensive end, man. Like he's literally the anchor to that defense. So now the Mavericks, I think they have a plan to bring AD in and surround him with so much help that is going to preserve him on the defensive end. They got size to help him out on the paint, and he can play his natural position. That's going to help him stay healthy for the remainder of the season. That's the only thing I think AD has had issues with. If you look at his game, he can do everything. The only thing he's hurt consistently. So, but as far as them both, I think both sides were just not really worried about doing it professional. I think they're just both fed up.
Right, right. You bring up an interesting point though, because it's not unusual for a GM to call out a player, right? Uh, I mean, Pat Riley has done that,
He always does that. Yeah.
famously with Jimmy Butler, right? Nobody bats an eye. Why can't a player call out the GM? Without
Yeah.
having to fear repercussions, right?
Right.
Again, we're just speculating. We don't know if this was something that rubbed the Lakers the wrong way. But it's not like AD was saying something controversial. It's not like AD wasn't saying
Yeah.
something we were all thinking or something we all knew. Yeah, the Lakers needed a big. AD
Right.
went out and said it.
Right.
So what? Yeah, if it comes out that was a part of it, that would be a bother, right? Because that seems to be a double standard, right? If the GM can call out a player, then the player should be able to call out the GM, right? We need to
Right.
we need to be civil, right? We need to be polite, but you should be
Mm-hmm.
able to call it out, man. And again, I don't think AD was telling any secrets at all. We
Right.
all knew. We all knew what the Lakers needed, and guess what the Lakers still need.
Yep.
Right now, I just don't see them better. Now, I think what might have made the Lakers feel better about making the move is they played really well. If you saw the New York Knicks game, they defended really well, and this was all without AD.
Mm-hmm.
And the Knicks have got some bigs, right? I mean, Karl Anthony Towns is, I don't know that they have a true, they got no Nikola Jokic, they don't have a Wemby, but Cat's a big guy. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought the Cat was going to dominate, right, without AD. He didn't. And they shut that team down pretty good. So maybe that gave the Lakers a little bit of comfort, thinking, man, maybe we make this move. Because keep in mind and remember, right? The Lakers, according to Brian Windhorst, they were just sitting around. They were not planning this. Nobody was thinking about moving AD. The Nico Harrison picked up the phone and said, "Listen, do you want Luka?" And 29 of the 29 teams would have taken that call and listened, right?
Yeah.
There's no way nobody hangs up on that or says, nah. I don't want to discuss Luka Doncic. The Lakers had the discussion and pulled the trigger. So
Appa-
yeah,
Apparently, there
go
was
ahead.
one team that the Dallas called, and they turned it down. I would love to know who that one of the team was.
I hadn't heard that. Really? Somebody's reporting that they offered Luka to somebody else before the Lakers?
I don't know if it was before or it might be like around the same time.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Oh
I'm not
man,
sure.
okay.
Yeah, but
That would be interesting.
all I remember is like there was one other team that Dallas offered, but they turned it down. That's all I know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing that makes me again, I think there's so much about this we don't know, right? If
Right.
the Mavericks were again kind of doing Luca dirty, just sending him off, they wouldn't have sent him to the Lakers. I think Luca wants to play with the Lakers. I think he's called
Yeah.
LeBron an idol of his, and I think playing with LeBron, playing in LA, I think back when Luca's first or second year, he was inbounding the ball and he heard someone talking in his language, and he turned around and it was
It
Kobe
was cool.
Bryant, right? Yeah, and Kobe took the time to learn some cuss words in
Yeah.
Luca's language,
Yeah.
which I thought was a great story. So I think Luca wanted to be in LA. So the Mavericks moving him here kind of speaks against what we were talking about, right? If the Mavericks really wanted to hurt Luca, no offense to this team, but maybe they would have shipped him to Utah or the
Yeah.
Hornets or something.
Yeah.
But they sent him to a pretty good destination. So again, this is just baffling. This will go down in history as the most shocking NBA trade ever. This is the kind of trade that people are going to ask you, and you're going to remember in 20 years. Where were you when you heard, right,
It might
that
be
Luka was traded?
it might be the most shocking trade in sports history, if I'm not.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
might be.
You might be right because this came out of literally nowhere. This wasn't
Yeah, nowhere.
bubbling. There were no rumors. Nobody had this. Nobody thought about it. When I heard it, I thought the person who told me was wrong, and I told him so. Because how are the Lakers getting Luka? There's no way.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it happened. So, yeah, just absolutely shocking. Again, I'd encourage everybody, and we'll make sure when we share this show to link BJ's reaction video. He has one himself. We'll make sure to link that below. And we've got a few articles about it on our site, thepeachbasket.net. But we wanted to come on. We wanted to just kind of talk and communicate and converse about these things, just to kind of recap. Um, what made the Mavericks move on from Luka, right? We're just going to say exactly what the GM is saying. Conditioning led to this. Um, Poor defense led to this, but we all kind of agree there's probably something else that we're not knowing, that we're not hearing, that was probably in the mix somewhere. Which team won in the short term? We all agree that the Mavericks are now better, but the Lakers may not be done. We'll see. But as it stands right now, the Mavs with AD are better than the Lakers with Luka. Long term, I think the Lakers got what they want. They got the face of that franchise. We all agree, with some caveats because we don't know what's going to happen. But the Lakers look to be in better position long term. And yeah, both the Mavs and the Lakers. Yeah, I don't know how you do something like this right. It's the GM is a tough position. It's a tough job,
Yeah.
but I don't think either one of these franchises handled it as well as they could have. But that's it. That's our thoughts. Please join us on thepeachbasket.net to stay up to date on this story and more. Follow BJ Matthews, Credential Clippers writer, and Pearson for all your Toronto Raptors news. Thank you both for joining. Thank you all for listening. We had a few people on, and we welcome it. Next time, leave your comments. We want to hear from you. But thanks very much. That's all we got for you today, and we will be back. Nick, who runs Nick MBA, is going to host an hours-long reaction show when we get to the final day of the trade deadline. We will talk again then. BJ Pearson, thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me. Thanks for having me.